Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
We are learning Mishna Sotah, Perek Test, Chapter 9, Mishnah Zayin, Mishnah 7. All right, so we know that the case, the scenario of an Eglah Rufa is we find this dead body. We don't know who killed him, and now we got to go through this ritual. So now the Mishnah says like this: Nimsa ha'hayreg. What if the murderer was found? I mean, if we knew who killed him to begin with, we wouldn't be doing any of this. And now it comes out that we found the murderer. He was found. So what happens now to this animal that you set it aside? You did the ritual with it. Like what happens now? So Achaloi Nerfor Egla. If the murderer is found before the calf its neck was severed, meaning before you did anything to it, right? You may have brought it all the way down to that valley, but at the end of the day, it has not yet been killed. It goes out and pastures amongst the flock. That means it's back to being a regular old calf and do with it what you want. But once the egla, its neck was its neck was cut, then already that means you did the process, right? You did it, right? You performed the egla arufa. In that case, now this is going to answer, Richie, one of your questions you had before. Tikaver b'mekayma. It gets buried in its place, meaning where it was killed. That's what you bury. What do you do with it afterwards? You bury it, and that's because of the fact that it is asur bahana. One may not have benefit from this, from the remainder of this animal, that its neck was broken as the egla rufa, or its neck was severed as the egla rufa, and it's forbidden to have benefit from it, and you bury it in its place. Now, so Mishnah explains what's happening here, or why we're saying this. Sha'al safek basa mitchilasa, it came to begin with because of in a situation of doubt. Kipra sveka, the doubt was atoned for, taken care of. V'holchala, and then it went away. Meaning the way they translate kipra sveka means it atoned for its uncertainty and went on its way. Meaning it fulfilled its purpose. Like every egla arufa, it was intended to atone for a murder where the killer was unknown. Therefore, since the killer was unknown at the time of the ritual, it must continue to be treated as a regular egla arufa, despite the fact the killer was discovered later. Meaning, you discovered the killer after its neck was cut. So at that point of time, was it a regular egla arufa like any other one? Yes, it was. It's a situation where we don't know who the murderer is. We have to go through this atonement, this ritual as an atonement, and it was done like any other egla arufa. The fact that now, afterwards, we found the murderer, that if we would have found him before, we never would have done this, doesn't make a difference. Because at the time that it was done in the state of what egla arufa is supposed to be, and therefore, it has all the rest of the halachas. It follows all the rest of the laws of an egla arufa after the ritual is performed, which is, it's forbidden to have benefit from, and it's buried in its place. Okay, so that's the first half of the Mishnah. It depends on when you find the murderer. You find the murderer before anything was done, then we don't do anything. Even if you already took an animal and designated an animal and maybe even brought it down to the valley. But if the murderer was found before the neck was severed, the animal is just a regular calf. But once the murderer was found after the neck was cut, which means you went through the ritual, and you went through it at a point of time that you were supposed to, because we didn't have a murderer then, which is the situation where we're bringing egla arufa. So then the fact that he was found afterwards doesn't make a difference. We don't say, well, retroactively, the whole thing was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. When it was done in a state of what egla arufa is brought for. And therefore, it follows all the regular halachas of an egla arufa, which again is forbidden to have benefit from, and you bury it in where it was killed. Next, nerfa ha'egla. Now let's say the egla, the ritual was done, its neck was cut, and then the murderer was found. That murderer will be killed. Meaning the mere fact, the fact that an egla arufa was brought before we found the murderer doesn't mean that he was atoned for. The egla arufa doesn't atone for him, doesn't atone for the murderer. So whenever the murderer is found, he has to go through the process like any other murderer, where the end can be that he will be killed for what he did. Have a wonderful day. A good tavach. Shavua tov.
Thank you, Rabbi. Whose angle was this in the first place?